Hi guys. So we've got a full moon coming up the end of this month. Well, it's already upon us, guys. It's pretty cool. This one is not only a full moon, but it is a blue moon, which means the second full moon in a month, and it's also a blood moon. Now, where I am, I won't get to actually see any of the eclipse. It'll be taking place when it's too light, so I won't be able to see it. But doesn't matter. Doesn't change the fact that it's happening, right? Okay. So I was going to make some of my incense that I like to make for the full moon. Just, I don't know. I really like this blend. I like the way it smells. I also, one of the things that I do with this incense is I clean my skulls with it. You know, I smoke up my skulls. So I've got a lot of these little stone crystal skulls. You can't see all of them. They're kind of scattered about a bit, but these are the ones you guys usually see because they stay right here in my where I make my incense and craft and things. So this, I'm not going to actually show how to make the cones in this one. You can watch the previous video that I did on making kiffy into a cone. Later on, I'll show you guys how to make the combustible incense with the saltpeter, but we'll do that later. So this is the incense that I'm going to make today. I'm just going to make it into a loose blend, but you can easily make this into 2 cones. The first ingredient I have here is musk seeds. And later on, I might, I'm thinking about getting into, I started to make individual videos on individual ingredients. I might get back into that later, but today we'll just get this done. The next ingredient I have is black copal. Tolu balsam. I'll let you guys look at this because it looks a little bit different. It's not quite as hard. It's kind of soft compared to other, like some of the other resins that I have. I just got a little bag of sandalwood. This is the white sandalwood. I'm going to put in a little bit of a lemon gum. And this too is fairly soft. Oh, it smells so good. It is a very strong pine, kind of a citrus smell. And my last main ingredient that I'm going to put in here is just a little bit, well, it will be 1 drop of lotus oil. Lotus oil, if you get the real oil, is very expensive, but luckily you don't need much of it. 1 drop will do. Alright guys, so what I have down in here is my copal, my Tolu balsam, and my lemon gum. You don't need very much of any of this. I'm just making a very small amount, just enough for a few days use. So I want to add to this my musk seeds. Put about a little spoonful of those. and then the sandalwood. Excuse me. So here's what we've got. Now I put my powdered ingredients in there with my resins just so that when I start to grind up these resins, they're not going to get gummy and stuck. The powder will help help keep them from sticking. And if you notice, if you all will ever notice with my mortar and pestles, you really won't ever see a very clean mortar and pestle from me. Generally, you'll see them with some residue in them. Now, this isn't a mortar, it's one of my bowls, but I do use this to grind ingredients in sometimes. But that's another tip for you guys. If you leave some residue in your mortar, it will keep things, it will keep other ingredients. Like you guys just saw, I'm just using a little bit of each of these ingredients, so I don't want to lose these ingredients in little grooves in my mortar and pestle. So if you leave a powder in there, it's kind of like a I can't think of what I'm wanting to say. It's like a buffer. It'll keep you from losing all of your little ingredients. Now, you'll have some of another ingredient in with whatever you're making, but generally, if I haven't made anything in a mortar and pestle yet, I will put a little bit of sandalwood in there, or I will put a little bit of mako powder, something just to kind of fill the holes up, if that makes sense. Alright guys, I'm going to get off of here and kind of grind this up. Alright guys, so I've been grinding at least 5 minutes now. Those musk seeds are a little hard to grind up. Now, do you see those little black specks in that powder in there? Like right there, and there's little black specks in there. That's the musk seeds. If you're going to make this into cones or into sticks, you got to grind some more. Those little black specks are larger than the size of the sandalwood, so it's going to affect your burn. So, I guess what I'm telling you is, you grind and grind and grind and grind, and when you think you're done, you better grind some more. Because you won't be done. Trust me, it pays off in the end though, if you are making cones or sticks. If you're not, this is fine as is. Now, this is something important to note though. Make sure you get it the consistency that you want it before you add any essential oils to it. I will grind different herbs, woods, resins, gums in my mortar and pestle. I don't put essential oils in here. The oil, the resins and the gums and the woods, they can all be brushed out. The essential oils, on the other hand, the stone is porous and can absorb down in there, and I don't want that lingering in my mortar and pestles. So what I do is, once I get it ground down the way I want it, I will transfer this into like a little glass bowl, or you could use, I mean, if you didn't mind it, you could leave it in here and just use it in here as is. But lotus oil is expensive, And I want all of that going into my incense. I don't want any being left behind or lingering in my mortar and on my mortar and pestle. So I'm going to put this into a little glass bowl, then add my lotus oil to it and mix it up. If you're using something like peppermint, you know, you wouldn't worry so much about losing so much of it, because peppermint oil, you know, that's easy to get, and it's not really expensive. But yeah, not lotus oil, y'all. It's ridiculous for a reason, though. Let me show you something else, guys. Get you one of these. This came with my herb or coffee grinder. It's just this little brush. You could use a paintbrush. You could use whatever little brush you've got. But this has kind of stiff bristles on it. And you can kind of get down in there and brush your incense out. That way you get all of your powders out of here. You can see there's some left. And like I said, you want that in there so that your next, whatever you put in next, doesn't stick in the grooves. But the majority of it's going to be out, so it's not going to really affect the next incense you put in. So, alright guys, that is pretty much it. I'm not going to show actually adding the lotus oil in, because I've got to be very careful with that so that I only get just a touch in here. I can tell you guys though, a trick. If you're using an oil that you just want a very small amount, sometimes you don't even need a drop, y'all, of something. You can use a toothpick, and you dip a clean toothpick down into it, and then you stir that toothpick into your powders. That works. I've done that before and it works very well. I actually want a whole drop of my lotus oil in here though, and that one drop will pretty much overpower the smell of some of the other ingredients. You're still going to be able to smell them, but your primary scent will be the lotus oil, just with a drop, because this really isn't much for that small drop. Lotus oil is very strong. Alright, other ideas, sometimes I put vetiver root in here. I just don't, I'm not feeling it this time, guys, so I'm not going to put the vetiver root in. There's a lot of different things you can put in here. Just look up your list of ingredients, see what kind of goes good together. Pretty much everything goes with sandalwood though, guys. And sandalwood is a good, it's a good incense for like water and for my sign. So, all right, y'all have a good one. All right, guys, I know I said I wouldn't, but why not? This is my mixture. I already mixed in my lotus oil. I put it back in this little mortar and pestle. I like to use this one. It's smooth on the inside, so nothing sticks. I like to make my cones in here if it's small amounts. So because this mixture is mostly like herbs and sandalwood, there's just a little bit of resins. I'm only going to add 1 spoonful of Mako powder, and really I probably wouldn't need that much, because the sandalwood is pretty much going to burn fairly good on its own. I'm going to mix all this together, incorporate all of those ingredients. And I said this in the last video, I'm pretty sure, but it'd be a good idea, and it actually helps your incense if you kind of let them mingle together for a while. I like to if I've done things ahead of time, I like to let my dry ingredients kind of sit for a day or so. Let my wet ingredients sit together for a day or so. And then when you put them together and mix them up, and you've got your ball that you can make your incense out of, your cones or your sticks, then cover them and let those sit for at least a day. So here's what it looks like. It's ready for you to add your wet ingredients to. Again, I think I had mentioned this in my last video. You can add any liquid to this that is primarily water. Wine is a very good one because it is water-based, and you have fruits and oils, that sort of stuff in your wine. So it's good to, it's a good binder. Fruit juice, that's a good one. Just anything that is primarily water. And I don't have all of this in here. You always reserve some on the side, because I've been doing this for a while. Someone on one of my recent incense videos asked me how long I had been doing this. I can't really say, guys. I don't really know. I'm not really sure. At least 10 years for sure. I didn't actually start buying up the actual incense ingredients, like the sandalwood and stuff like that, until I was in my mid-20s. But I had been using just regular ingredients like clove and cinnamon, stuff like that that you could find in your pantry before then. Alright, you guys saw how I've done this before on the previous video, so I'm not going to bore you again with it. Alright guys, here's our ball. We can make 2 nice sized little incense cones out of this, 2 or 3, depending on how big you make them. I completely forgot. I got to talking to you guys and forgot, but this, because it's got a lot of sandalwood in there, would benefit from a little more of a binder. So in your water, if you make this, you should add in just a little bit, not much guys, just a tiny amount of like dissolving some gum arabic, and it'll kind of help keep stuff together. Because even though this is, at this point, this has got the right amount of liquid in it, it's still kind of hard to hold it together. So if I was wanting to roll this out into sticks, it wouldn't really work as well. I need something else in here that's going to hold things a little bit. Also, a fun fact, something that you can do, you know, just if that sort of thing interests you. When I was pregnant, we had a storm, and during that rainstorm, we had the supermoon, blood moon going on. Blue moon was also in that time period. And I collected a little bit of the water. I put it in a bottle, in a jar, airtight jar, and you add just a little bit of alcohol to that so that you don't get any kind of growth. and that's what I'm using here. That was the water that I was using to hold my incense together. Ooh, see, look at that. I ground and ground and ground, and look, and there's still a little chunk of musk seed there. That's bigger than it should be. Too, guys, you should take like a kind of like a flour sifter and sift all of your ingredients through that. That's another way to kind of make sure that everything is the same size. Alright, guys, I know this one was a little long and drug out and talky, but alright. I'm going to make me a couple little cones with this. That way they can dry and I'll be able to burn them tonight and tomorrow. You all have a great day.